Programs at all levels. At the elementary level, we do a program called Destination Imagination, which is group problem solving, team building, great program for our elementary school and Nagel School students. At Nagel, we do after-school tutoring, and that's kids can stay after 2 days a week and get extra help, and we provide the busing home. And then at the high school, we do ACT and PSAD prep, college and career prep classes. And then finally, we also do a teacher grant program that we just added last year. So that's what we do. We are constantly raising money for that effort, and that's what we do. So I'm going to turn the program over to Randy Smith. He is the president of the Board of Education, the Forest Hills School District Board of Education, and he's going to be our MC for the afternoon.
Thank you, Dee, and welcome everybody. It's really exciting to see everybody here today. I just want to say again, thank you, Dee, for our introduction this morning, and continue to eat. Please do so. It's not rude. We are going to get you out of here by 1. Speakers, remember that. We're going to get you out of here by 1. Again, welcome to the 4th Annual Distinguished Alumni Celebration. You know, we all hear about what a great school district Forest Hills is. And we hear about what great accomplishments our students make. But we rarely get to hear about the accomplishments of our graduates. And so that's why this is a really exciting opportunity to celebrate some of the things that our graduates from both Anderson and Turbin have done. First of all, thank you to our Distinguished Alumni Committee. Even though you're eating, could you all please stand up? Because I know there are a number of you in here. You are the folks who made this happen. Could you please stand and be recognized? Please. Thank you. I'd also like to take just a second. Dee mentioned the Forest Hills Foundation for Education. That's the group that really is the driving force between both the Anderson Alumni Association and the Turpin Alumni Association. Could all the members of the Forest Hills Foundation for Education, all the board members, could you please stand up? Please stand up. A round of applause for these folks. Dee mentioned the foundation, but I wanted to comment. We have a lot of people coming back. If your kids are out, this is an organization out of school. This is an organization where you can get involved in something that absolutely directly helps students. So I would encourage you, if you have any interest whatsoever, find out more about opportunities with the Forest Hills Foundation for Education. Members of the Forest Hills, wouldn't you know it? You know, I usually start meetings by saying, would everybody please their cell phone, put it on vibrate, and I didn't follow my own rules. I also think we've got 2 members of the Forest Hills Board of Education here. I know I saw Dr. Heiss. Dr. Heiss is here, and is Julie Bissinger here? I know she was going to be here, but sometimes she has trouble getting down from downtown. Thank you for being here. And I want to take just a second to recognize administrators who took the time to be here. Superintendent Scott Prebles, there we go. If you haven't met Scott, you need to meet Scott. He is providing some dynamic leadership for the Forest Hills School District. Assistant Superintendent Mike Broadwater. Principal at Anderson High School, Mike Overby. And I know David Spencer was going to be here, but something came up, and that happens when you're the principal of a large high school. And I did see Diana Carter here, principal of Anderson for 10 years. I'm going to take just a moment and thank our sponsors. This wouldn't happen if we didn't have very generous sponsors. First of all, bronze partner, Ritter Donahue Financial Advisory, silver partners, Park National Bank, Trophy Awards, Corbett Graphics, thank you, Randy. Buckeye Running Company, and a special thank you to our gold partners, Mercy Health and Brandicorp. Let's give a round of applause to those folks. I would encourage you, they support us, so let's support them when we can. Thank you to our sponsors. Let's move on to our 2016 class of distinguished alumni. We're going to start with Forrest S. Heiss, graduate of Anderson High School, 1962. Forrest Heiss has been a lifelong resident of Anderson Township, attending Anderson from kindergarten through his high school graduation. At Anderson High School, he was captain of the football team, played basketball, ran track, was senior class president. He's in the Anderson Athletic Hall of Fame. He attended the University of Cincinnati on a football scholarship, became involved in student government, serving as class president for the junior class and student body president. After graduation, he attended Harvard Law School and obtained his law degree in 1969. He then went on to become an associate with his late father's law firm. Forrest has practiced law in downtown Cincinnati for, now get this, 47 years. After graduation from UC, he married his college sweetheart, Nancy, and Nancy is here with us today. And the couple recently celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. They have 4 children, all graduates of Turpin, and by the way, one of them is now on the Forest Hills Board of Education, Dr. Heiss, and 12 grandchildren, 4 of whom are enrolled in the Forest Hills School District. Forrest has been very involved with the Forest Hills School District, having served as a member of the Board of Education for 32 years. And by the way, Dr. Heiss went on the board right after Forrest left, so we've had a Heiss on the Board of Education for about 40 years in Forest Hills. Currently he's serving as past president and board member on the Forest Hills Foundation for Education. Forrest has also served as a member of the Board of Directors of Beach Acres, as a chairman of the Board of Trustees of Anderson Hills United Methodist Church. He's coached Anderson Township youth in boys and girls soccer, girls softball, boys knothole, and church and Kiwanis basketball programs. He was honored by the Anderson Area Chamber of Commerce in 2010 as the Citizen of the Year. This is a guy who absolutely has, as he says all the time, fire in the belly for Forest Hills. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons the Forest Hills Foundation exists is a challenge that he laid down in 2004. So at this time, I would ask that you join me in welcoming Forrest Heiss.
I just want to thank the foundation and the 2 alumni associations for this honor. It's just really a special time. And I told my wife, I said, I don't feel like a distinguished anything. But somehow you are. And it's nice to be able, at our age of 72, to reflect back and say, how did we get here? So I like to share a little bit about my journey to where we are. The guidelines here is that we're allowed to say a few words, 4 to 5 minutes. In the past, speeches have been the highlight of our luncheon. Usually, so this is for everybody else too. Usually speakers have done a good job of tying their experience in Forest Hills to their present life. And speeches are going to be recorded and shown on TV, wherever you are, so that's great. My wife was a speech major, and I said, well, I've got a small speech here. And she says, nobody wants to hear that. So I got it reduced. Because everybody wants to get out of here and get on to their life's work. Forest Hills, Anderson Township, Newtown have been a special place in the Heiss life. A lot of Heisses. My father was one of 7 kids that were from a German family, grew up on Elston Road at the bottom of Beachmont Hill. They were truck farmers. They took a wagon, I was told, to Terrace Park High School. Of the 7 kids, he was the only one to go to college. Came back. His 3 other brothers themselves settled in Mount Washington, Anderson Township. He became a lawyer. His brothers became contractors. They built some homes on Wilshire and Ayrshire and developed a couple subdivisions on unusual Heiss Terrace out in Mount Washington. And essentially did a lot of things. They had 4 kids, of which I was one. And we settled on Salem, and that's been the homestead ever since. Of those 4 kids, there were 11 grandchildren, all which went to Anderson. A couple of them married their spouses that were Anderson grads. So I think there was 15 actual graduates at Anderson. That's why I have an orange tie. We can't give blood transfusions because we bleed orange. We've also we moved originally to Anderson on Coolidge, but then moved up on the Turpin side. And it was funny because when we came back from law school, when I was being newly married, and we said, well, we got to find a place to go in Cincinnati, where are we going to be? So I would drive around, and Nancy would all of a sudden say, well, you're always back in Anderson Township. Why are we doing this? Why? There was only one place. We only looked at houses in Anderson Township. And that's just because I had a good experience growing up, and I wanted to have the same experience coming back. So it's hard to say how Anderson and Anderson High School and Anderson Elementary, because I was a 13-year student at Anderson. I started in the late 40s. If you graduate in 62 and you're there 13 years, you can figure the math. I have to give credit to my math teacher, Doris Mitchell, Nell Camp, Gene Harris. I was also privileged to be in school with the icons of our music, drama, and chorus department, being Virgil Wilson and Roger Grooms and Dick West. Dick West, as I always told him, was very insightful. Never invited me to be in chorus ever. But, you know, he knew how to pick them. Our principal during this period of time, again, when I started school, we had one school building, which I used to call now the Kroger deli department, but we sold Kroger to Christ Hospital, so no longer there. But there was a big high school. Mr. Maddox was the boss, Maddox Elementary. You did want to go down to Mr. Maddox's office. I was there a couple times. And during my time, they built an adjacent to the high school addition, and also a temporary building behind there where we went to junior high school. That temporary building was supposed to be torn down. Now it's the administration building. It's lasted longer than all of us. But at the same time, that's where we were. Our principal, high school principal, was E. Wayne Titus at Titus Auditorium, affectionately called the Toad. And Ms. Harris, who tried to teach us 4 years of English in 1 year, was called Grindle. Miss Mitchell, you didn't call anything, Miss Nelkamp. But these people gave me something, and above all, I guess the most important people, as far as I modeled after, were coaches. Joe Cruzy, our basketball coach, and Joe Miller. What did they teach us? You kind of try to think up for speeches. How do you do this? I had all the P's. First thing they did was teach us passion of relating to their kids, their students, their athletes. They showed the importance of preparation. You just can't get away without being, you may not be the smartest or sharpest knife in the room, but you can be prepared. And they demanded that of us. Also, you should maybe be practical in what you do. They used to, and then above all, you wanted to instill pride in folks. And that's what they did in Anderson. I'm very proud of Anderson, the way I grew up, who supported me then, and then tried to come back. We went on to UC, did our thing there, went on to Harvard. Well, when we went to Anderson, Anderson, when I was growing up, was the sticks. I mean, it stopped at the Beachmont Levee civilization. They came around, they had a little bit of Mount Washington, but beyond that, there was nothing. We were hog farmers. We were, Joe Cruzy was the first coach I ever know to make you practice during the summertime. That's why we were good. We'd go down and play Withrow or the big teams and do well, because as now, everybody practices one sport all year round, but back then that was unusual. So, and Joe Miller, Cruzy was crazy, he was, and so was Joe, but they were all dedicated to us. But we were able to have those things put into us, which made us for a foundation for the future. After we came back from law school, I joined the same law firm that my dad was with, same fellow. A few years later, Dan Winstrup, my partner, came with us. His son's now with us, Grant. Been practicing law with them over 40 years. Bob Burns, a resident of Turpin, has been with us over 20 years. And my two secretaries who just informed me that they were born when I graduated from high school, which made me feel real good, have been with us over 30 years. So we're like a family down there. And they helped me do my thing on the Board of Education. You have to write speeches, you have to contact people, they contact you. Sometimes it's a 24/7 job, sometimes it isn't, but they're still involved, and I appreciate their efforts to allow me to do what I'm doing. I'm over my 5 minutes, I know that, but there are certain privileges. Last year this program went to 2 o'clock, I was told, so don't worry about it. Anyway, how did I get involved with the Board of Education? Well, when you come back and you're now a young lawyer, you don't know anything, still don't know much, but anyway, the Anderson Boosters contacted me to help install the first 4 tennis courts behind the high school. Because when I was the first graduating class from the new Anderson High School. We still didn't have any track, we didn't have any gym, we went across no band room, no nothing. Our track was to run around the light poles. We were we were tough around the light poles, as Andy knows. And we put in, so that was where we were. The developments were after that, but again, coming back, and I've lost my train of thought, so we'll go on from there. Came back, joined the law firm, got on the Board of Education, asked to put in tennis courts. Then at that time, I graduated a class of 163. We're planning our 55th reunion now, which is kind of crazy. But at the same time, 10 years later, high school was in is in double sessions, 10 to 15 years. With a big boom at that time, which just had all these subdivisions going around. We were building a school year in the mid-60s, early 70s. Somebody contacted me, would you go out and be on the Speakers Bureau for the Turpin High School? My memory is that the levy was on the ballot 4 different times before it passed. I spoke in the first 3, didn't pass. I didn't speak, didn't pass. You just appreciate all that. So Turpin was created, and after that, Phyllis Layton came over and asked me to run for the board. And you think, well, okay, why am I going to run for the board? Well, a lot of times you have, and it was going to be a short stepping stone to bigger, greater things. Well, I found it was a great thing where you were. You were able to have an effect on kids. Although nobody ever knows you are unless you're closing their school or asking for money, then they know who you are. But it's a very rewarding, and what made it rewarding was the dedicated people I worked with. Fellow board members put up with me for 32 years, administrators, superintendents, because you're the main contact with the superintendent, and dedicated administrators. Now, why would you be an administrator? I mean, most of our administrators, are practically all were teachers. They had a one-on-one contact with kids, and that's what grew with them. but you go further up the chain because you think you can have a better effect on more kids at one time. And we're just very fortunate to have very dedicated administrators throughout the district. Principals included. The hardest job, I think, is principals of any school because you have so many publics to take care of. But it all boils down to the classroom teacher. What kind of education you get, we can talk how great accomplishments we have, but what I want to know is what my teacher is doing with my kid. And I want to make sure that teacher has the wherewithal, both with their concern and care for kids, but at the same time have the tools necessary to do a good job. And we are very fortunate out in Anderson Township, Newtown area to have that. And we don't really know that until we go away. When you go away to college, or when you go away to another town, or when you go to a national school boards convention, you look around and see what other people are doing. You go to a college and you say, hey, I got a pretty good education. I didn't know I was getting it, but at the time when you go over there, especially when you compare with your peers in your grade level, so that's sort of special. And then you come back and you essentially are appreciative of what's going on, and I'm very appreciative. I appreciate the teachers, I appreciate the coaches, I appreciate the guys here that are being awarded today. I mean, Dan Bartholomew, it's nice to be the head coach, the varsity coach, because you get to select the great guys, but when you're a junior high coach, these guys don't know anything. They're a danger to themselves and others going out there. But coaches are able to give you some life lessons. Things they didn't do me of the 4 Ps was I didn't learn patience, and I didn't learn political correctness. And those are probably for my coaches. You were able to say a lot more on a coaching field than you can in a classroom. But all of this was great, and where did it go? We're very proud of where we're at. And one thing I learned was you can't do things on your own as well as you can do as a part of a team. And being reminded that of even a board of education, you have sort of a direction together. You're working on a levy, which is a special time because it's sort of us against the world. And you got to convince people that don't want to be convinced that, hey, there's value in what you do to invest in your kids. So levies are a great opportunity. We recently passed a bond levy, which I attribute to the bond ladies that were involved. And they were very, very special in getting out there and have fire in the belly or passion or whatever you want to call. And has put us in a great position to proceed and give great education to the kids. So best thing I got out of UC was my wife, Nancy, 50 years. She's the reason I was able to do what we were able to do. When you run for election at 8 different times, you got to go out and put out campaign signs. You got to pick them up at night. Nobody does that but you and your spouse, no matter what kind of core committee you have. You have 4 kids. That's our greatest accomplishment. They were a joy of our lives. They married 4 fantastic spouses who are just great, great partners. And they gave us 12 grandchildren who range from ages 1 to 15 and a half. Quite an opportunity for us to move on to the next stage. And that's why I'm still involved in the schools, because that's our future. Education is the bedrock of our society. And I've 40 years plus as a PD, public defender, and I could see firsthand what lack of education does. Those kids don't have a chance. We have a chance out here. People know, I used to say public education is still working in Forest Hills. We still have support with the taxpayers. We still value education. We have good kids. We have good parents, and we're supportive. And so we're just very, very fortunate. That's one of the reasons I really am happy with the foundation that we're here today. We're able to do things that can't be done by the school board. I hate to say it, the only thing, when you're on a school board, the most frustrating thing is lack of money. We're always asking for money. We're always looking for money. The state is always taking away the money. And you have to convince taxpayers who may not have kids in school that, hey, you're doing a good job here. We need to have your support. The foundation allows the normal guy to invest in education rather than just saying, oh, I can't do anything. And that gives everybody an opportunity to do something for the kids. So we really appreciate that. Again, I appreciate that. I'm sorry it took more than 5 minutes, but you get some leverage, once you get the mic. That's the only thing I don't like about new board meetings. They put a time limit if you go up and talk. So they put a chart up there, it goes down. One thing, that's the thing about being on the board. I wasn't politically correct. I chastised the governor, all the 6 or 7 educational governors that I've ever been through, and all the gutless wonder legislatures who would come up front and tell us the good news about what they're doing for education, and then essentially don't do anything about it. So those are the things. I'm very impatient. I like to get things done, but at the same thing, you need perseverance. You need to go run the long haul for this. And I think I learned all that from Forest Hills and Anderson. Thanks.
Thank you, Forrest. If we actually talked about everything he has touched over the many years, we would be here till 2, which we won't. But Forrest, thank you. And thank you for everything you've done for the foundation, the school district, and quite frankly, personally, thank you for being a mentor to me on the Board of Education. Next up, our next honoree is, and by the way, continue to eat, it's okay. Stacy Sims, Turpin High School grad, 1979. Stacy attended Newtown Elementary and lived in the Hermitage Club located at the end of Raglan Road, which by the way is just south of Ivy Hills. She fondly remembers one of her favorite teachers there, Aunt Mick, as well as riding horses at Milljoy Farms from first grade on. She went on to attend Turpin Middle School and high school. There she ran track, participated in gymnastics, and was a cheerleader. After facing some struggles in her late 30s, Stacy decided to turn her life around. She founded a Pilates studio, Pendleton Pilates, which she operated for 9 years and expanded to 4 studios with hundreds of classes each week. In 2005, she published her first novel, Swimming Naked, that'll get your attention, about a woman in her 30s who moves to Florida to care for her cancer-stricken mother. That same year, Stacy also founded the True Body Project, an award-winning wellness program to help girls and women, men and boys, connect to their best selves and each other. Since then, she has taken on many other ventures, such as playwright and author of illustrated children's books on mindfulness. She also founded City Silence, an international network of community mindfulness gatherings. One of her projects now is Mindful Music Moments, an innovative school program combining music and mindfulness. She is currently running that program at both Wilson Elementary and Sherwood Elementary schools and finds it so satisfying to return to Forest Hills School District hallways to help students find a safe place to learn. Please help me welcome a 1979 Turpin High School graduate, Stacy Sims.
Thank you, everyone. So I was hoping that we could kick this off with a reprisal of our theme from Shaft gymnastic routine that I did with Debbie Brandenburg Gallagher in the 7th grade at Turpin Middle School, but we didn't have time to really rehearse, so I'll have to just give my remarks instead. So I'm sure, as you all know, golly, it's just wild how fast time goes. It truly does seem like seconds ago that I lived right over the hill in the Hermitage Club with my dad, who's here, and my mom, and my brother Dave. So my brother Dave is in Dallas. He couldn't be here today, but he wanted to register with the foundation and the voters that he is available for awards in the future, and that he did win the first Turpin High School wrestling meet. I don't know if that's true, but that's what he said. So we grew up in a small community, the Hermitage Club, and I went to Newtown Elementary. And as was mentioned, I was one of the lucky kids who got to have Aunt Mick as a teacher, among many other teachers. And I feel like what was so important to me at that time, and I think what's so cool to hear about this school district and this community is that the way I felt in elementary school and then in middle school and in high school is to be a part of a really nurturing, growing community, but really a small community where I was known, I was seen, I felt like that the teachers and the parents who I got to know all had enough time to really take time to pay attention to kids. And now that I work with kids, it's getting, I think as everybody knows, it's more stressful really for all humans now than it ever has been, I think, but especially for youth. And this thing that you offer in this community is just this beautiful tending to the young people in the community and really making sure they're seen. My progression through the Turpin Hills schools. So I was at Newtown, which was super exciting, and then we were a part of the cohort of students that spent 6th grade at Anderson, 7th and 8th grade at Turpin, 9th grade at Anderson, and then 10th, 11th, and 12th grade at Turpin. And we were talking earlier too that it was during the, I don't know what year it was, maybe somebody else remembers. Is that when we split the school day? So some kids went at like 6 a.m. and some kids went at 11 a.m. And all of that, I remember at the time feeling like everything when you're a student feels super dramatic, and in fact it kind of is, because those are the things that really help you figure out who you are as a human being. I mean, I really don't think that I learned, well, let's see, my first year in college I learned how to snap bottle caps and whistle through my fingers. I learned how to drop classes. So probably all the stuff that I really learned excuse me, happened in those earlier grades. So I want to talk a little bit about the work that I get to do now. So as was mentioned, is I've done a lot of wellness-oriented programs, and I've had the pleasure to work in high schools, elementary schools, and middle schools since 2005. And I work with schools all across the spectrum of schools, so inner city schools, suburban schools, little kids, more grown kids. And for sure, I work in school districts where, as the earlier presenter was saying, that don't have the advantages that this school district has. But I also know that it's really rough to be a growing human being these days. And people often ask if I work with at-risk youth. And I feel like we're all at risk to be, to disconnect from our best self. And I'm so taken with how much this community is giving back to future learners, future leaders. I get to go, the mindful music program I created, which is mindfulness and music every morning over the morning announcements. It's a partnership with the symphony, the opera, and the chamber orchestra and the CAC that helps the whole school take a moment of relaxation and clarity. I get to go to Wilson and Sherwood schools to see how that school feels. And what I see there is I see really dedicated teachers. I see really dedicated administrators. I see really dedicated counselors. And what I see in this room is really dedicated teachers and parents and funders and people who just keep, there's so many places and worthy causes that need our money and our attention, but probably there's no more worthy of a cause than nurturing young people right where you live. And I'm super honored to be a part of this cohort. Somebody asked me earlier when I came in, you know, what are you being awarded for? And I sort of feel like, I don't really know. But it is such a gigantic honor to be among the alums. And I do want to say to any of the superintendent or any of the other schools is I would love to give back more to the schools, either through mindful music or coming to visit or in whatever way I can be a resource. I do live in town and it would be my pleasure to do so. So thanks to everybody here who saw me one more thing I want to say, sorry. I was really lucky. I was a kid who was seen. My family saw me, my teachers saw me, they believed in me, they felt like I was interesting enough to pay attention to when I was being good at things and then I was being kind of a rat about things. But so many young people start to just slip through the cracks. So I am so grateful to all of you for seeing me, and then I'm also so grateful to all of you who continue to work in this field of student wellness to see others. So I think that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you and congratulations, Stacy. Our next honoree is Nader Masadi, a 1990 graduate of Anderson High School. Nader grew up in Jordan in a family of restaurant owners and managers. He moved with his family to Anderson Township as a teenager and attended Anderson High School. After earning a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Cincinnati, Nader earned his MBA in international business and negotiations from Xavier University. His family's businesses instilled a passion for the restaurant industry, which led to his purchase of Buffalo Wings and Rings in 2005. Nader helped engineer a revival of the brand, making improvements to all elements of the Buffalo Wings and Rings experience, including a chef-inspired menu, redesigned restaurant model that appeals more to families, and a focus on increasing the efficiency of the brand's operations. Nader's goal is to make Buffalo Wings and Rings a household name in even more markets in the U.S. As CEO of Buffalo Wings and Rings, Nader strives to spread his passion for providing the best club-level sports restaurant experience in the industry to all levels of the franchise system's 70 locations across the globe. Buffalo Wings and Rings has enjoyed incredible success under Nader's leadership. He has provided the tools for nearly half of the single-unit franchisees who've entered the system to expand to multiple unit ownership. Nader is dedicated to giving back in the Cincinnati community as well as the communities served by Buffalo Wings and Rings across the globe. With that in mind, Nader established the Buffalo Foundation, a nonprofit foundation committed to combating child hunger. When he isn't in the office or visiting restaurants, Nader enjoys playing soccer and golf, as well as spending time with his nieces and nephews. Please join me in welcoming Nader Masadi.
Good morning. As I'm sure you can tell, I did not write that intro. I'm sure our marketing folks, and it sounds more like our sales folks, wrote it more so than anybody else. So if anybody interested in buying a franchise, please see me after that. I will be handing out some cards. It's an honor being here. Thank you again for the nomination. It's an honor being among the other honorees as well. I mean, how could you top Forrest? Thanks for putting me after him. I wish I'd been more prepared than that. We moved to Cincinnati in the late 80s, 88, 89. And my first home was Anderson High School. So that was the high school I attended. Although I was there a very short period of time, it was extremely impactful. Being in a new country, new environment, new high school, So you don't know anybody. The only good thing out of it is you get to study a lot, 'cause nothing else to do. So I spent a lot of hours studying in the books. That was the stepping stone to the rest of my career, really. It set me up for success. It set me on to go to college at UC and get a degree in engineering. After that, I went and worked for a company called Makino Machine Tool, which is a Cincinnati company as well, Mason, for a Japanese company, and I had the privilege of spending some time in Japan. Then after that, moved to ZF Batavia, also a very local company here, a joint venture between Ford Motor Company and ZF, and spent a lot of time in Germany. So I spent a lot of time on the road traveling, which lended to me get a degree in MBA at the Xavier University. So truly a Cincinnati boy from Anderson to UC to Xavier, never left town, still live in the area. So I have an emotional attachment to Anderson specifically. We just built our latest restaurant actually in Anderson as well. So very proud. It was a very emotional day for me to bring my company, my restaurant, my brand back into Anderson where it actually started. The first restaurant started in Anderson back in 1984. So that was our first store. Anybody that lives in the area probably remembers it on Beach 1 Avenue. And it was hard to actually leave that restaurant because of a legacy, but we wanted people to see what we have done with the brand, so we built a brand new one. The journey has been very exciting, and many times I get the question of, how does an engineer end up in the restaurant business? And I always say, I have no idea. It's just the path you take, and then you make the best of what you have. So it was all about opportunity, and an opportunity came up to buy the brand, and I approached one of my colleagues at work, and I said, hey, listen, I know we've been wanting to buy a company, so this thing is up for sale. And he's like, another engineer? And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So two crazy engineers get in the restaurant business, but at least we were smart enough to add a third partner who does have restaurant background, so it's not all the credit to us, at least. So you leave it up to two engineers to organize it. We started out with 4 restaurants. Today we're a little over 70, 13 states, 7 countries, and continuing to grow. I just actually came back not too long ago from Dubai. We just opened up our first restaurant, so very proud of that. Again, I want to thank you guys for the honor, and part of us giving back to Cincinnati and Anderson. Actually, we also established, as it was mentioned, a 501c foundation combating child hunger. Surprisingly to hear how widely spread the problem is actually. And it's part of us giving back to the community and being part of the Cincinnati, and to give back to the community is such a reward. Thank you all for the honor, and thank you for recognizing the work we've done, and I wish you all a great day.
Thank you and congratulations. Our next honoree is Doug Prince, Turpin High School graduate in 1985. Doug moved with his family from Champaign, Illinois to Anderson Township in 1979, where he attended Turpin Middle School and then Turpin High School. Doug was an active football player throughout high school and excelled in accounting classes with his favorite teacher, Mr. Fennell. After graduation, Doug pursued an accounting degree from NKU. He worked his way through college as a meat cutter, a beer vendor at Reds and Bengals games, a tax analyst for a downtown Cincinnati law firm, and also working for a non-for-profit women's shelter. After college, Doug pursued his passion for accounting and the financial industry as he went to work for a public accounting firm. In 1998, he and his wife moved to Indianapolis to start what is now Procourse Fiduciary Advisors, LLC. Doug and his team were named the top retirement plan advisory team in the country in 2010, and his team has consistently been ranked as one of the top 100 retirement planning advisory firms. Doug's very involved in several charitable organizations. He serves as the nonprofit board of directors at Spire, Indiana, whose mission is to offer a comprehensive community mental health center serving adults and children of central Indiana. Doug is also heavily involved in Indiana Nitro, Inc., as the treasurer of this youth baseball organization. Doug has twin children, Connor and Megan, who are now freshmen in high school. Doug has been married to his wonderful wife, Ann, for 20 years. Let's welcome Turpin High School grad, Doug Prince.
Thank you. Ice cold beer here. Actually, first of all, I want to thank my brother Victor. He's the one that nominated me for this award, and he's the one you have to blame for the next 45 minutes as I do this presentation. Or wait a minute, that's 4 to 5 minutes. I'm sorry. When Dee called me about this award, it's very ironic. 35 years ago today, I was a freshman at Turpin High School. My children, my twins, Connor and Megan, are both freshmen at Carmel High School in Cincinnati. So this year has kind of brought up this thought about what high school meant to us. You know, my wife and I were, as they were getting ready to start, high school, what's this really mean to us? And a number of words came to me as I was kind of thinking about this session here. High school meant friends, extreme emotions, both happy and sad, feeling lost, finding yourself, trying to be like everyone, but also trying to be different, girls, rock and roll, homework, parties, and long hair. And guys had long hair back in my day, and girls had big hair. So I want you just to close your eyes for a second and kind of realize me with long hair. Okay? My kids are so embarrassed right now. In high school, I wasn't the top student. I wasn't the best athlete. I wasn't the most popular kid. I made good choices, and I made not so good choices. I was me. High school is about finding out who you are. Actually, life is about finding out who you are. It doesn't end in high school. The beautiful thing about life is you can always change direction and stay on the path you like, or pick a different direction. I wasn't smart enough in high school to realize the true importance of family. Family is there in good times and in bad times, and is there unconditionally. I've been fortunate to have many friends and still remain close to several classmates. Jumpin' Johnny over here, How Man, a lot of the friends I made in high school are still around. But I've lost touch with many of my classmates as we all kind of move on and create our own lives. But family has always been there. Thank you to my family, my mom, my dad for putting up with me all those years, my brothers, and for always being there. To Connor and Megan, my kids here, cherish the good times and the not so good times, as those define who you are. It's how you react when the times are not so good that truly define success. True leaders are defined by how they overcome problems. You both have so much strength, and I'm extremely proud to be your father. To my wife, Ann. Ann and I didn't know each other in high school, but God was gracious enough to bring her into my life several years after college. You have made my life truly special, and I wouldn't be who I am today without you. Thank you. As I thought about this award, Turpin Distinguished Alumni, I'm truly honored and humbled, and I looked up the word distinguished in the dictionary. And the definition is made conspicuous by excellence. So I looked up the definition of conspicuous. Conspicuous is attracting special attention as by outstanding qualities or eccentricities. So I looked up the definition for eccentricity. It is an oddity or peculiarity as of conduct. So not sure how to think about my oddities, or maybe being myself is okay and being different is okay. What did Turpin mean to me? First of all, I am a Turpin Spartan. And I want to beat Anderson. I want us to beat Anderson. And McNick. And, high school is the start of defining who we are and what we will be. As I think about my experience at Turpin, the thing that stands out is finding a mentor. My accounting teacher, Mr. Lowell Fenner, was the first professional mentor I had. He inspired me to find my passion and a discipline. He had a very good sense of humor. I don't know if any of you remembered him, but he had a very dry, very good sense of humor. And he always kept me interested in the subject. So thank you, Mr. Fenner. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2008. I'm sorry not to have been able to tell him how much his guidance meant to me. So for all of you, thank those in your lives who have inspired you. Life is about finding mentors. I was lucky enough to find one in college as an accounting professor there. Found one in my professional lives, and I continue to strive to find mentors for me. Connor and Megan always strive to learn from others and always to give back to others. I am truly honored and touched to be named a Turpin Distinguished Alumni. Thank you, Turpin, for making me such a positive impact on my life. Go Spartans. You want to keep this, Randy?
I had it about that long back in the 70s. That was a long time ago. Thank you very much and congratulations. Now we move on to a special part of our program. This is our opportunity to honor a staff member from the Forest Hills School District. Our honoree for 2016 is Dan Bartholomew. Dan is a lifelong Cincinnatian. He grew up in Clifton, graduating from Hughes High School in 1963, the University of Cincinnati with a BS in Education in 1967, a Master's in Education from Xavier in 1970. Dan started his career in 1967 at Anderson Junior High School. That's when I started there, but I was a student. And Bev, I saw another classmate. We started at Anderson in 67, yeah. Let's see, Dan was teaching 7th grade social studies and 9th grade general business. Overall, Dan taught for 42 years and coached for 46 years in the Forest Hills School District. Throughout those years, he taught at Anderson Junior High, Anderson Middle School, Forest Hills Junior High, Turpin High School, and Anderson High School. In 2002, Dan was named Live Oaks Vocational School Homeschool Teacher of the Year and received the Hamilton County PTA Friends of Education Award in 2009. Dan coached basketball, track, football at the junior high level. At the high school level, he coached boys basketball and girls basketball at Turpin and boys basketball and tennis at Anderson. Quite a list. He also served as athletic director at Turpin for 2 years. He was fortunate to have coached 8 athletes who are members of a Hall of Fame at Turpin and Anderson. In boys basketball at Anderson, Dan was an assistant coach with Hall of Fame coach Frank Brandy for 21 years, winning 250 games. In boys tennis at Anderson, Dan coached for 10 years and won 160 matches and coached 4 state qualifiers. He was named League Coach of the Year 3 times and was the Cincinnati Coach of the Year in 1991. In addition to coaching, Dan worked or directed boys basketball camps in Forest Hills for over 40 years. He's presently on the executive board of the Hughes High School Alumni Foundation and is involved with planning and organizing activities for his Hughes High School graduation class of 63. Dan is married to Pam, a 1955 Anderson grad. They met while both were teaching at Anderson Junior High in 1969. Dan and Pam have been married for 46 years. Their daughter Jill lives in Westerville, Ohio with her husband Ivan and their kindergarten son Nicholas. Dan and Pam enjoy weekly trips to see Nicholas. Now, let's welcome our 2016 staff member, distinguished alumni. Let's welcome Dan Bartholomew.
I have to make one big correction. It's in the program wrong. My wife graduated in 65. 1965 grad, name was Pam Schneider. It does say it wrong in the program. We didn't write it that way. I got a lot of thank yous to start off with. I'm a pretty fortunate person. Thanks to the Forest Hills Foundation for selecting me for this prestigious award. And also special thanks to Mrs. D. Stone for organizing the event. I want to thank my wife, Pam, 1965 grad of Anderson, for her long-term support. Thank my sister, Carol, and brother-in-law, Ray. They came in from Iowa. I'm a big Iowa fan because of them. They came in for the weekend. My daughter, or our daughter, Jill, and grandson, Nicholas, who's playing with his tablet over there, probably doing some homework for kindergarten, from coming down from the Columbus area. And some other close friends of ours, Jim Carty and his wife, Beverly Mallon Carty, 1972 graduates of Anderson High School. Thanks for their support and for being here today. I'm not going to go through what the teaching thing, that's in the program. I didn't know they were going to read the program stuff. 1967, and I quit somewhere in the 2000s. I did want you to know this, though. As I taught, as years went on, I tried to develop a philosophy of teaching. And it was a very simple philosophy. I'm a very simple person. And I think it was based on 3 basic elements. Number 1, student success. Number 2, having fun. And number 3, developing relationships. And that's all I kind of knew. I kind of taught that. I taught subject matter, but also taught those type of things. Having fun, student success, and then relationships. Obviously, I picked the right profession to go into. I have so many memories of the countless awesome students that I've taught over the years, in the thousands. Some of them are here today, and ones that I know that are here, I'm going to mention Kevin Keefe from both Turpin and Anderson. Bruce Hellman, also from Turpin and Anderson, because they were at both schools kind of at that split time. Got Adam Norwell, strictly from Anderson. Didn't teach Adam, but coached him. And Chris Norwell, who was one of my students and one of our great athletes in the history of the school, as his brother Adam was. I also saw Chuck Ackerman come in today. He said something to me, one of my former students, and John Erickson. I didn't know exactly as a student, but from the Sherwood playground that we ran, or Kevin helped run for many, many years up there at Sherwood for 11 years, I think it was. So I want to thank those people for still staying part of my life. Also, my teaching colleagues, I have 2 of them here today, Katie Cannell and Nancy Hans, still presently teachers at Anderson High School, and they were extremely important to me in my latter years of my career, because we started going into that computer era, and they were knowledgeable, and to say I was not knowledgeable was an understatement. So thanks to those 2 ladies. They're great people. They're great people. My coaching buddies, no memories with them. I've got Frank Brandy, as mentioned, it's in the Anderson Hall of Fame, both as a player and a coach. Steve Ellis, Bob Molinax, Rick Carr is here. Also, Jeff Watterson would have liked to have been here, but he unfortunately couldn't be here today. He had a serious accident and was not able to come. I thank those guys, because these guys, when you teach, and you're a guy that grew up playing sports all his life, coaching, you got to do it. That just makes the teaching so much easier. Makes your day, makes it long, but it makes it kind of fulfilling. And those guys have been great to me for many, many years. This induction ceremony is a very humbling experience for me, because I realized people that have been inducted prior to this, and I think especially of 2 people, Mike Hall and Dick West, who are just definite legends in Forest Hills. And to think that I'm even in the same conversation as them is amazing to me anyway. So I'm accepting this award from the foundation as a representative of the many fine educators that I've worked with in my era, who worked diligently to make the Forest Hills School District the great district it is today. It was in 1967, as Forrest said it, this was the sticks. And in 2016, it's one of the top school districts, at least in the area, in the state, and perhaps even in the nation. So thanks again for coming. Thanks to the foundation, and God bless you. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you very much, and congratulations. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. And at this time, oh, by the way, the Anderson-Turpin football game is this evening. It's at 7 p.m. It is at Anderson, and this is the one time of the year I get to show a little bias. Go Anderson. At this time, I'd like to invite Bill Lyon to the stage here, the podium. Bill is filling some big shoes, but he is filling them well as president of the Forest Hills Foundation to present the awards.
Great. Thank you. All right. We're almost out of here, but we've got to give awards to these people we said we're going to give awards to. So I'd like you to come up, and the first one we have is Forrest Heiss, and we heard his story. Forrest, the last thing I want to say to you is you inspire me in many ways, but your passion in the belly is truly inspiring. And Stacy, we didn't meet until today, but I somehow think I know you. I think I know your soul. Your story is wonderful, and you inspire me with your joie de vivre.
Thank you.
So thank you for what you're doing for us. I think we have next up Nader, right?
Yep.
And Nader and I met a little while back, a couple years ago, so I was absolutely tickled to death to see your name on the list. I think it's your entrepreneurial spirit that inspires me most. So thank you for all you've done as an ambassador for our district. And then Doug. Doug and I are in similar businesses, but I'm pretty impressed by you, and especially I'm inspired by your big hair. And as a father of twins myself who are attending Turpin, your words to your son and to your wife are very inspiring as well.
Thank you.
So thank you. And then Dan. I think you deserve, all the folks deserve the standing ovation that you got, but I understand why. These guys love you. And I can see that you love them as well. I'll come around this way and tell you, you inspire me by your humility. It's very palpable. So thank you for all you do. And all this happens because of a partnership that the foundation and the school district and the taxpayers and the parents and the students and the educators have together. And that, I think, is very worthy. And so I'd like to thank everyone in this room. I think you're all ambassadors for the good things that are happening here in this district, and I'm pleased to be a part of it. We moved to this district because it had this kind of support just 3 years ago, and I'm tickled to death to be here. So congratulations and safe travels wherever you're heading next.